Covalent bonds continued. A bit of review. What do valence electrons mean? So go ahead and pause the video and write down what you recall the meaning of valence electrons. These are the electrons that are in the outermost energy shell, or the outermost energy level. This is where all the chemical reactivity occurs. So, what do you think covalent means? Covalent is sharing. The definition of a covalent bond is a bond formed when two or more non-metal atoms share one or more pairs of electrons. So we're going to draw a water molecule. We will start off with an oxygen. We're going to do the Lewis dot structure, and then we're going to add hydrogens. So we have an oxygen that has 6 valence electrons, hydrogen that each hydrogen has 1 valence electron. For hydrogen to have a full valence electron shell, it will need 2. So it has 1 and it will need an additional 1. It has 1, it will need an additional 1. Oxygen has 6, so it will need 2 additional ones. So we are going to circle these electrons because they are going to share with each other. So how many electrons are being shared between each atom? 2. Hydrogen is sharing this one from oxygen. This hydrogen is sharing this one from oxygen, and oxygen is sharing 1 from each one of the hydrogens. How many valence electrons does each atom have? If you take a look at hydrogen, hydrogen now has 2 valence electrons. Oxygen now has 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the first energy level, all we need is 2 to make a complete outer shell, so hydrogen is stable. Oxygen has 2 energy levels, and it will need 8 for full valence electrons, so it becomes stable or happy. So sharing is caring. We're going to draw the Lewis dot structure of 2 oxygen molecules. So I'd like for you to pause the video. You're going to pause the video, and I would like for you to draw 2 oxygen atoms with their Lewis dot structures next to each other. And then start the video back again. Yours may look a little different than mine, and that is just fine. You'll see why I have my Lewis dot electron structures the way they are. So each of the oxygens has 6 valence electrons. So each oxygen will need 2 additional electrons. They will need to share 2 electrons. So this is how you would draw that. This will share 1 pair, and this will share another pair. So how many electrons are being shared? 2 each. How many valence electrons does each atom now have? Each atom started off with 6 valence electrons, but now after sharing, we have 8 valence electrons. So there are 3 rules we're going to look at about covalent bonding. Rule 1, electrons are shared to fulfill the octet rule, which the first energy level would have 2 and be considered full. The second and third energy levels only need 8 valence electrons to be considered full. That is the octet rule. Rule 2. The bonds that are going to form between two or more non-metals. Rule 3. Only valence electrons are shared. Now, there is another way that we can draw these to show that each of these are bonding and sharing 2 electrons, and I'd like to show you that. First, I will show you the single bonds between oxygen and hydrogen. Each circle has 2 electrons that it is going to be sharing. That pair of electrons can be represented by drawing a single line bond. So when you see this single lined bond here, you know that it is hydrogen is sharing an electron and oxygen is sharing an electron. When we have 2 oxygens, notice that we have one pair of electrons being shared here and another pair of electrons being shared there. So that is considered a double bond between 2 oxygen atoms.